You're listening to the Iggy Podcast with Nick Ignatov.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Iggy Hockey Podcast. This is our second ever episode, and I've got a lot to talk about today. Well, not as much as last episode, but plenty to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Wildcats and their rough start. Their rough weekend that they've had, and last a little bit as well. We're going to be talking about a few games that happened around the NHL recently. We're also going to be talking about the All-Star voting. And, of course, we have your GD move of the week, and can they do it? So we're going to start with the Wildcats. They played 3 games this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they lost all 3. 4-3 loss to Cape Breton, a 4-2 loss to Rouyn-Noranda, and a 6-3 loss to the T10 of Arcade Bathurst. And it was just a rough weekend all around. You know, they started out in the first game, they outshot the team, I believe it was 54-23, and they still lost that game. Such a game that you definitely deserved to win, and you didn't. It was just a bad time. And then also, in that game, Liam Dunda laid a knee it was pretty bad. He got suspended, couldn't play the game on Saturday, but came back on Sunday as it was only ruled a 1-game suspension, which was nice voice crack there. And so yeah, it wasn't as bad, but then the worst came when Mika Sear got hurt, and I saw him. I was at the game on Saturday, and I saw him in a sling. That's not good. So who knows how long he is out. Hopefully it's not long. He's the number 1 center on the team and incredibly important to the lineup. So let's pray that he is okay to come back pretty soon. Hopefully they're doing so badly. 2-7-0-1 in their last 10 still. Obviously 3-game loss in a row. They're actually on the 7-0-7-0-1 right now. 7 games in a row. I guess that would be 8 games in a row lost. And it's a rough time for them. So hopefully they can come back. And this Sear injury is definitely not going to help them. I'll tell you that much. How about some NHL stuff? So I have NHL games that are live. I haven't been able to watch a lot of the games recently because I work evenings. And so I just haven't been able to watch a lot of the games. That includes the Leafs games, but we'll get to the Leafs game later. I watched the Habs game first. Because of the games that are live, I watched the condensed games. The first game I had to watch was the Habs thumping of the Red Wings 10-1. And watching that game, the Habs are known as a slow team, and they were outskating Detroit by a long shot. That's a problem. Yeah, sure, 3 of the goals were Paul Byron. That guy's got wheels. But, man, there were some plays I was just blown away by. And I was thinking about having a can they do it on the Red Wings for actually staying as good as they have been. Their luck is running out. And if they got thumped by the Habs like that, oh man, are they ever in trouble. Speaking of in trouble, how about the Sens? Watching their 5-0 loss to the Jets, I believe it was last night, that was bad too. But one thing, though, about the Sens that they have to feel a bit better about is it was the Jets, who are number 1 overall in the league right now. So I believe now they are tied with Tampa Bay. So they're obviously the best team in Canada at least. And, it just goes to show that sometimes it's just one piece of the puzzle that's missing. That's all it takes sometimes. And for the Jets, it is just straight up that they needed goaltending, and that's what they've got. And yeah, they are number 1 in the league right now, and that's what they had, and it's really helped out. It's really helped them out. So for Ottawa, looking at their schedule recently, I checked it out, and just because they were playing games, they've lost a lot lately. They won 1 game against the Islanders, and they still let 5 goals against. And they lost to the Habs. Habs are on a roll right now. The Islanders are a good team. Columbus is a really good team. Washington's a good team. The Rangers, you probably could have beat the Rangers. Arizona, you had to beat, and you didn't. Pittsburgh, good team, obviously, and then they won both games against Colorado. So I want to give the Sens a bit of slack because a lot of the teams they're playing are good teams, and the next 4 games are a bit easier with Anaheim. They're only easier because they're injury depleted. LA is a bit of a rough go. San Jose is also a bit of a rough go, but they've got Buffalo, and they've got the Rangers, and then they've got the Habs. So that's pretty much their next 2 weeks. So they can bounce back from this, I think. But right now, it's looking real rough. I still think, though, that the Sens are probably going to end up being that last wild card spot in the Atlantic. I don't think Montreal can do it, but I think that the Sens can. We will see. If I am wrong on that, I'll probably look like an idiot in a few months. But that's kind of my point. The last game I watched highlight reel-wise was the Oilers and Flames game. What a game that must have been to watch live because, holy man, 7-5 win for the Oilers, and it was so bad. It was a bad game, man. Oh. And, of course, the game, I guess it wasn't really the game winner, but the 7th goal was put in by TJ Brody. You feel so bad for the guy. But I guess that's kind of like karma, I guess, sort of karma for the Oilers. They lose to the Leafs by an own goal, and then they get it back by the Flames putting in a goal on their own net, sealing the win for them. So it was incredible. That being said, Russell looked like an idiot on the Bennett play, but we'll get to Russell later. He just kind of fell, and Bennett had an open, he was coming up the left wing. Russell was trying to guard him, and he fell, so Bennett had a clear shot right up the left and sniped it home. It was a beautiful shot. Bennett's looking good. But yeah, Russell's having a rough go, but we'll get to Russell later. Last thing I wanted to talk about in the NHL right now is All-Star voting has finally started. Now, the one question I wanted to bring up about All-Star voting, and I want some feedback on this, I really do. When you have All-Star voting, it's the basic idea is you have the 4 players that are going to be voted in each division, right? So you got the 4 guys, and with those 4 guys, they're going to be the captain of each division. So here's my thing, is that if you are voting and you actually care about your vote, are you going to vote for the best player, or are you going to vote for your fan favorite? And even if it is, what if your fan favorite, in my case, I would vote for Austin Matthews. But Austin Matthews is going to make it without my vote. So should I vote for a guy that might not make it? Should I vote for say they have Patrick Marleau on the voting list? Should I vote for Patrick Marleau? Or do you vote with Matthews? Because but it's the thing, right? Obviously Matthews deserves to be in there. But does my vote matter then? Basically what I'm asking is, should you vote for a guy that otherwise would not make it into the All-Star game, but still deserves it? Or just vote for who cares, vote for Austin Matthews as a Leafs fan? That's my question. I'm going to throw that out there to you guys. A good example would be I voted for Jaden Schwartz over Tarasenko because I thought Tarasenko would already make it, and Schwartz has never been in the All-Star game as far as I know. So go with Jaden Schwartz. That was my thought. I also voted for Clayton Keller because, that's a kid, a rookie, and he's lighting up for Arizona. So I figured that would be a good guy to take. They'll probably end up putting Ekman Larsson in over him, depending on how stacked the defense is in that division, and they might not go for him. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts. I want to get some feedback on that. I want you guys to tell me what do you think. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, and by everyone I mean the 5 people listening to the last episode, the GD move of the week.
It's the GD move of the week.
My GD move of the week goes to Todd McLellan. Now, this is where I talk about Chris Russell. So, Chris Russell put the puck in his own net against the Leafs, causing the Leafs to win the game. Now, everyone jumped on him for this. But this is going to it already sparked a big debate. And The reason was because basically, here's the Todd McLellan quote. Quote. I'm just going to read it word for word. Chris Russell is a character individual, and that's why our team cares so much about him. Whoever's criticizing this individual probably has never played a competitive sport in their life. And if they have, they've been perfect and that event never occurred to them. Then they should be in the Hall of Fame somewhere. Mistakes happen. There was no intent for him to shoot it into our net. That's the one video clip we don't even review. What are we going to look at? But what he means to our team, and I know all the analytic nerds out there find ways to run him into the ground, but he means a lot to our team. Every single one of those players, regardless of the goal the other night he put into his own net, will tell you that any day in any place. I'm pretty sure a lot of the guys in that locker room down the hallway would tell you the same thing. So analytics that if you want. So here's why Todd McLellan is our grocery divider of the week. That was very unnecessary. I get it, okay? You need to defend Chris Russell. I think that's fine for defending Chris Russell. Calling people analytics nerds? Why? Why were you calling them nerds? There's no need to call them nerds. Just because the thing with analytics, I try to have a balance, and I think that's what you need to do. I think analytics are not the be-all, end-all. I think the eye test isn't the be-all, end-all. So you need to have a healthy balance. And here's the thing, never count out the other side. Because analytics clearly show you it paints a good picture. I don't agree with everything. For example, Martin Marincin should not be on the Leafs. The analytics community has really liked Marincin. I don't. So my thing is, why are you criticizing them when you should just be criticizing the idiots that are going after Chris Russell, the man? Because there are some people. Let's not say that no one's criticizing Chris Russell as a man. Some people are. Those people are idiots. They're idiots. He made a stupid hockey play. That was a stupid mistake. That does not make him a stupid human. Okay? Marty Brodeur went to poke the puck once, and he dropped his stick in the process. The puck went off his stick and into the net. Okay, Marty Brodeur's an idiot now. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be saying that in his Hall of Fame speech as one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. No, that's not how it works. Everyone makes mistakes, okay? A play like Patrick Laine's, where he kind of actually shot it in the net more, that was pretty bad, and it was pretty funny. But again, it's still just a dumb mistake. It happens. You can criticize the play, but you can't criticize the human. He's not a dumb idiot that doesn't belong in the league anymore. That's not how that works, guys. He deserves for this defense from his coach. He deserves that defense. The problem is that he does not deserve. McLellan doesn't need to call people analytics nerds. We're not nerds. Well, okay, I'm calling myself it. No, I'm not an analytics guy, but they're not nerds because they write things down and keep track of what happens in the game. Analytics are just a further... I bet you back in the 40s when people were keeping track of saves, they're a bunch of analytics nerds. Why do you need to know how many saves a goalie stopped? We won the game. No, that's not how it works. Okay, Todd. So let's never keep track of anything ever again. Stats don't matter. It's all about what I see with my eyes on the ice and what's in that locker room. That's all that matters. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. I'm saying that we need a healthy balance, guys. Of course, a player like Chris Russell matters to the Edmonton Oilers. Is he worth $4 million? Absolutely not. Is Milan Lucic worth $6 million? Absolutely not. It's ludicrous to think so. So that's my whole thing. And Todd McLellan, you don't need to say that. You don't need to attack the analytics community like that for no real reason. To combat that, Bruce Boudreau. Team's having a rough year. Minnesota's not doing very well. But they're coming out of the funk. They're playing pretty well lately. If I look at it here, they are 6-3-1 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They've been playing well. And Boudreau came out. He's known as one of the funniest coaches out there, and I agree. He's a character. And he was quoted as saying, quite frankly, we went to our analytics department and changed things up. So kudos to them. And that's why he's basically said the analytics department is why we've won our last few games. Now, Boudreau has come out in the past as hating analytics, saying that they're stupid and this and that. And now he's turning it around. All of a sudden, he's turning it around. So good for Bruce to come out and say that, especially so close after McLellan's comments. And yeah, sometimes, guys, analytics work. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes. As I said, Mark Marincin is not a Leaf. Is he better than Roman Polak? Dear God, yes. But we'll get into that later as well. So that's my GD move of the week. Todd McLellan for unnecessarily talking about analytics in that way. I think that was stupid and should not have happened. Now we get into the Leafs talk. The Leafs versus Canucks game. I didn't get to watch this game live either. I was working with the Wildcats and could not watch the game live. So I once again watched the condensed game. And to me, it looked like a total toss-up. It looked like the Leafs could have easily won that hockey game if they had a bit more puck luck. I think straight up there was a few. That Morgan Rielly chance was insane, and he just fanned on it. So I think that it's a game that Leafs fans, you shouldn't be mad that we lost because it was an honest loss. You need to have a few, and they didn't get owned in this game. They had more shots. They probably should have won, and they didn't. So to me, if this was last year's team, I'd be really upset by this. But this is this year's team, and personally, I'm pretty sure we're a lock for the playoffs, so it's not a big deal to lose a game like this that you won, and just take it more as, well, they're playing the right way, rather than, well, we lost and we should have won that game. Because lately, a lot of their wins, they probably shouldn't have won. They probably shouldn't have won a lot of the games that they've won recently. They've been outshot to all hell, and they just got lucky on their chances. And in my eyes, I'd much rather see the team now playing really well and losing than playing the way they did in 2013 and winning, because that team in 2013 is a memory I do not want to remember, and seeing that team in this Leafs team scares the hell out of me. So I think that's a big thing that they need to do. Another comment I wanted to make, Roman Polak does not deserve to be on this lineup, and he needs to get the hell out now. Andreas Borgman is fine. Put Connor Carrick in, for God's sakes, and stop playing Roman Polak. At least throw him on waivers and bring Marincin up. I don't like Marincin either, but I still think he's better than Roman friggin' Polak. I mean, if you're not good on the right-handed defenseman, I don't think Liljegren's ready, so I wouldn't put him up yet either. So I think your best option is either to suck it up and play Marincin, or just keep Polak in, but play him less. Only play him in back-to-backs when you want to rest a guy or something like that. Polak is bad, and he showed it on that second goal where he literally skated right in front of Freddie, just stood there, and it's listen, guys, I know I just talked about a long time about, some players make mistakes. It doesn't make them bad players. Polak's a bad player. Don't try to tell me he's not. He's slow. The league has passed him by. He's not good enough to play on this team anymore. So hopefully this is the last time we see him on the team after this year's up. Hopefully they'll let him go, but who knows? Maybe they'll let him go if they trade for a defenseman. I hope they trade for a defenseman that's right-handed, maybe a Mike Green, for instance, or a Chris Tanev, and you get somebody and you get rid of Polak with that. So let's hope that's the case, because Polak is not on this team anymore. Now it's time for Can They Do It? Can they do it?
Maybe.
Today's Can They Do It is about the Ottawa Senators. Now, what are the Senators, man? I talked about them a bit earlier. They're in this big funk right now, and right now, if you look in the wild card standings, they are 4th last. They are doing very poorly, 2-7-1 in their last 10. I mean, at least they're not the Flyers, but still, man, they got to be doing better than this. And also, can I point out, they only have 9 regulation wins. They have 6 OT losses, which the Flyers are the only team that has more with 7 in the conference. Yeah, maybe even in the league. Yes, in the league. So they have that many OT losses, and that puts them above Florida by a point. But realistically, they are the 3rd worst team when you go with regulation wins, with Buffalo having 6, because, dear God, is Buffalo terrible. Philly with 8, and then them with 9. So here's the thing, though, is at least they can get out of this. They can get out of it pretty easily. I mean, this parity is brilliant in the league, and they're not that far behind other teams. And I think that's what people should expect a bit more of. I mean, yeah, they're a really good. I think that they still are a good team that just needs to get the chemistry back of last year. I think they pretty much are the Edmonton Oilers. They had this really good hype train. Everyone started to go, oh wow, the Sens are actually good, and then they just kind of lost it. And it's a matter of, they said that with expectations there's more pressure with the big expectations, and that's what they have. They have big expectations on them, and for this team to bounce back from that, I think you need to. It doesn't help that you already were having trouble meshing the team together, and then you threw in Matt Duchene, right? That's a big thing to get over. But I think Duchene is fine. I think he'll get over this, and I think he'll be a great player eventually. But you need to get the team going somehow. I don't know what it is, but that game against Winnipeg, they didn't look like they were doing too well. But I think Ottawa will bounce back from this. I think they are a legitimate threat in the Atlantic, and I think they're probably going to take that 3rd spot away from the Habs eventually. Who knows? Maybe they trade back for Hammond, and Hammond wins 20 games in a row again, or something like that. It's all relative. So I'm going to have a hard stance. I know with the Vegas one I didn't have a hard stance. I'm going to have a hard stance, and I'm going to say, yeah, the Sens can make the playoffs. I think the Sens will make the playoffs, and they will be in that 3rd wild card spot. Which means they could probably get kicked out early, because those 2 wildcard spots are going to be Metro teams, and they're going to be dominant Metro teams. So it's going to be a bit scary, but I think the Sens will take over the Habs position for 3rd in the Atlantic playoff-wise, and I can't wait to see them get good, because I think the league is better when Canadian teams are good. I really do. Speaking of which, the last thing I wanted to point out, that Battle of Alberta is insane. And it's good that both teams are good at the same time. That's the only thing I don't like about the Leafs and Habs, is that the Habs are on the downhill and the Leafs are on the uphill. Whereas the Flames and Oilers are both on the uphill with good, really young talent. Gaudreau versus McDavid is like the coolest thing ever. And both those teams on the uphill, it's really, really nice to see. Oh, we've got some breaking news happening right now, actually. Matt Moulson appears to be going on waivers. Matt Moulson of the Buffalo Sabres. Matt Moulson is going on waivers. Not a shock. Matt Moulson has been terrible for a long time. Pretty much, I think, now that I think about it, I'm going to bring up the Hockey DB page, because this literally just happened. I was not prepared. Looking at his stats. Wow, he was an LA King. I did not know that. So he played really well on the island. 3 years, 3 30-goal seasons, had 44 points in 47 games, got hurt, had 9 points in 11 games before being traded to Buffalo, 29 points in 44 games, then was traded to Minnesota, 13 points in 20 games, signed back with the Sabres, and the most points he's got since is 41. Then 21 2 years ago. Wow, 21 points in 81 games. And then 32 points last year, and he is currently pointless in 14. Wow, that is terrible. So, I mean, my only thing is, can you spell Ville Leno? You know, like, how many times is Buffalo going to give players that, you know, giant contracts that aren't that great? He's got $5 million this year and next year, and he's 34 years old. He's got a no-trade clause, too. Not that anyone would take him on, but, like, geez, man, that's rough. Another tweet from Bob McKenzie. Darren Dreger. Teams are calling Buffalo, inquiring on Chad Johnson and Robin Lehner. So that's interesting. Both goalies are up at the end of the season. Lehner is worth $4 million. So any team that wants goaltending can get it from Buffalo, really, depending on what their long-term plans are. I mean, do you really want to start a rebuild now? It's kind of hard to do that, especially when you're paying a guy like Jason Pominville at age 35 at $5.6 million. You're paying Okposo for many years. You're paying Ryan O'Reilly forever. You don't really have you have a decently young team. You know, you still have Jurgensons. You still have Eichel, duh. Reinhart needs a new contract, by the way. That's intriguing. Nothing yet on him. Your defense is your problem. Let's be honest here. Ristolainen's pretty good, but besides that, you need a total rebuild on your defensemen. But no, that's intriguing. I mean, Buffalo's trying to do anything to be somewhat relevant, but at this point, like, you might as well just be in a tanking race again versus Arizona to try to get Rasmus Dahlin. I mean, your biggest problem is on defense. You already have a superstar in Jack Eichel on forward. Now you can have a superstar defenseman in Rasmus Dahlin, the thing that the Oilers never really got to have. The one thing that sucks about being the Oilers, and I know they fanned on a lot of their first overall picks. I get it. But every single year they had a good first overall pick option. It was always forwards that were the top, highest touted players. And yeah, they fanned on it. But let's imagine the Oilers being bad in 2013, being bad enough and getting, say, scrap the Yakupov pick. They get like 5th or something. And then in 2013, they get 1st overall, and Aaron Ekblad is their 1st overall pick instead of Nail Yakupov. How dominant would the Oilers be with a guy like that on the back end? You know, it's all about getting lucky a lot of the time. And sometimes you got to hit, and sometimes you miss. One of the good things about a team like the Leafs is that they have a lot of their forwards are all drafted guys, and Morgan Rielly is their big piece on defense that they can build around. But it seems like every team that has won the Cup in the last few years, except for probably Pittsburgh, has had a piece that is really good in forward, defense, goaltending. LA, Kopitar, Doughty, Quick. Chicago, Kane, Keith, Crawford. You know, Pittsburgh is obviously Malkin and Crosby make up for the no defense, but even defense, Letang. They didn't have them last year in the playoffs, obviously, but, you know, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Fleury / Murray. You know, they always have. You've got the 3 places where you have a superstar in each category. Edmonton has Connor McDavid, Blank, and Cam Talbot, right? If you had Connor McDavid or Hall and Nuge plus Aaron Ekblad and Cam Talbot, but, you know, what's and ifs are everything, you know? And that's the thing with Florida. Is if Florida gets a goalie, they've got a 3. They've got Barkov, Huberdeau, Ekblad, and then a goalie, you know? They'd be mint. They just need a good young goalie. Matt Murray's available. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like, it's all about getting the 3, I think, and you have to get lucky to do that a lot of the time to get the high picks, and it's drafting, you know? It's a game of chance. You're almost playing the lottery. You're looking at a young kid and going, you'll be my superstar, and you just got to pray. You got to pray that you're right, because you're literally just you're just doing the lottery and praying that somebody will get it. So that's pretty much, I think, going to be the end of the podcast. I'm going to make sure there's no more news going on. Doesn't seem like there is. So I think that's going to be the end of this week's podcast. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'm going to try to upload 2 of these a week. So my next one should probably be sometime during this week. Maybe after, I think it'll be after Wednesday because the Leafs play Calgary. So I'll probably do one on Thursday to talk about the Leafs game against Calgary. And that'll be really fun. So thanks for listening, guys. This has been the second episode of the Iggy Hockey Podcast. Go follow me on Twitter at Nick Ignatov, NIKIGNATOV.
Thanks for listening to the Iggy Podcast with Nick Ignatov. Make sure to follow him on Twitter for all the latest updates.